Welcome to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages, with your host, Matthew Shipp. This is the podcast for all of those who are involved in the agriculture all the way to the distribution of beverages. And now your host, Matthew Shipp.
Hello and welcome to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages. I'm your host, Matthew Shipp, and today I am here with Brandon Runk from Course Coffee. He is the owner and roaster. Is that right?
That is correct.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Great. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. How you got here. I heard you've been around, you've bounced around a bit, and how Course came to be.
Yeah. So my wife and I moved from central Pennsylvania to here to St. Charles in the end of 2016, and with the anticipation of starting the business at that time. I had been roasting kind of more of like for a hobby for ourselves, and then kind of just giving away coffee, friends and family, and realized that was a very expensive hobby, but also was very interested in starting up a coffee roasting business, and landed here, like I said, with the anticipation of opening the business, and started roasting right away, got all of our licenses set together. And yeah, here we are almost 8 years later.
So did you set out with the intent to start a coffee business, or
Yes.
just any business? You weren't sure
yet? Yeah, with the intent of being in St. Charles, but then also like started doing our paperwork as soon as we got here.
You really had the intent to start it. You just needed a place.
Yes.
So how'd that adventure go?
That is a good question. Yeah, we knew that we had a few months off until we were going to be able to start selling coffee at the local farmers market here. So that was at the end of April in 2017. So we got all of our licenses set in place, started roasting. At that time, we were roasting out of our garage at our house. Was able to buy a bigger roaster at that time, which currently sits at our shop as a memento of the thousands of pounds of coffee that I roasted on a roaster that was probably not meant to roast that much coffee. So.
All right, that answers the question. I was wondering why you're not roasting all your coffee on that little guy, are you?
No.
All right.
But yeah, so we were able to start selling coffee locally to like friends, family, met some people through other people here in town. And then, say end of April, hit it like full time at the farmer's market, not really knowing anyone, which is of course fun. And then also moving from halfway across the country, not knowing anyone. And yeah, it was an adventure.
So how'd you find this building?
Yeah. So we had been looking in the Frenchtown area for quite a while before we ended up here, and we're just walking up and down the streets, and we just liked it. Kind of liked that it was a little bit off of the hidden path, kind of a little bit, but also just still right here in the heart of St. Charles, and kind of walked around this building, and it was not quite in the shape that it is now, but
Yeah, you expanded it as well.
yeah, absolutely. And we were able to, while we opened here 2019, it was December of 2019. So it was about 3 months before COVID, and which was probably the most inopportune time to open. But of course, we had no idea. But thankfully, I think we had built up a good, solid following from the farmers market, which was wonderful, and they're great. They still come support us now to this day. Some people that buy, 1, 2, 3 bags of coffee every week. Plus now they get to experience our space here from that connection. So that definitely helped keep us afloat during that time. We were able to expand. Yeah, like you said, we started very conservatively. We opened up one half of the building, which is 1218 North 2nd Street. And through COVID, we were renovating the other side while
project.
we were open limited hours because of course, curbside, and which was, I don't know if I want to say fun time, but yeah, used my cell phone as the means of business, and, thankful that people are certainly healthy and getting back to hopefully what is a normal life.
Yeah.
Post-COVID.
So you got your start with the farmers markets. Now, were you already selling before you had the building?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
How long was that?
So we literally started selling January 1st, 2017. I met a couple local businesses here in St. Charles. Sugar Cube, sadly, they've decided to sell their business and they're like an online business now, but they were our first commercial account. They bought coffee from us. I want to say that was like February of 2017. Wow. Met them through another person, just found out there was a candy shop and I kind of have a sweet tooth. So I got talking with her and they used, I think maybe Intelligentsia coffee. I just was like, hey, we're a local coffee roaster. Gave her a few samples and they started buying coffee from us. Also met Joe from Valenti's Deli very early on, like end of January, and they started buying coffee from us and still do now at Novellis to this day. So yeah, I talk a lot, so it's probably good for business, right?
Yeah, it helps. It helps. You're telling your story all the time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, story's a big deal.
It is, Matthew. And yeah, and we just are passionate about coffee. And it kind of, also, it was almost like it was destined to be, because it would be people like, we sell coffee. And then I remember the one guy saying, but we don't really sell great coffee. And it was like, well, I can maybe help with that. Like, not even knowing that we do this as a profession. So, yeah.
So taking that journey from the farmers markets and eventually opening your shop here, your coffee shop, what were some of the bigger challenges you ran into along the way?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges when you're opening up a business or starting a business, or in this case, having a specific space, that is purposed for like our vision. We run into obviously some challenges with doing, the work. I mean, it was a challenge, we had to raise them to do the work to get it to look the way that we want to. Obviously, when people come in here, they're able to see that we purpose this space to be a certain, to feel like welcome, like this is a safe space. This is a space of exploration. Not just the coffee, but also the map on the window. When you walk through the door, which is cool. It's a local artist who drew a topographical map on our windows to the different things about coffee walls. But yeah, most of it was really just, I'd say the biggest struggle was finding, getting the money, raising the money to get ready to open. And we did, we kind of took our time, which we were thankful that we were able to started doing renovations on the building in August of that year of 2017. Sorry, 2019. I apologize. Yeah. And then opened in it's December. So yeah, so it took a few months, to get things. The house was, it's old 1890s house, and it had been unoccupied for a little while. So.
Some extra cleaning to do.
Yes, a lot of extra cleaning. Sadly, they covered the brick walls with the plaster, and so we took that off ourselves, and it was fun. Very dusty. We were renting the space, and our landlord had to upgrade the HVAC system, things like that. So that just took time. Yeah, but we were ready. We were ready for it.
Oh, so, Course. So what's in the name Course?
Awesome. That's a great question too. So we kind of had tossed around a few different names, my wife and I, and we ended up deciding on Course because we know how much coffee has to do with different people's course of life, like their path from, of course, the coffee farmers, and then to the coffee importers and people that are working coffee on the ground, to obviously bringing the coffee here, to, of course, the roasting process, which is part of creating the magic. It goes, there's so many different hands that touch the coffee. Then, of course, to the actual like barista who is creating the final end coffee, that we just wanted a name that had to do with like an individual's course of coffee, and also how it connects people through different avenues in life, and like I was talking to you earlier about meeting different people in coffee, in a coffee bar, and you never know who you're going to meet. It could be the president of a sports team, or it could be like anyone, it's just kind of neat. And then people are all there to do something, whether it's some type of work or just simply experience the atmosphere and the coffee.
Really celebrating everyone's journey through coffee.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really nice. So right now, what would you say currently You've been at this since 2017, 2019. Yeah. Okay. Is your current biggest challenge you're having?
That's a good question. I think right now, the thing that probably would be the biggest challenge would be learning how to kind of scale up as we're growing. Growing pains can be a good thing, right? But also, staffing and, bigger equipment. Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. So talking about some of your challenges you're seeing with scaling.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's, staffing appropriately, I'd say. Finding staff that's but also hears our heart and sees our vision for coffee. We really take it to heart, and that the person is like wanting to serve someone. It's like, hey, this is a business where we're like, we appreciate you being here. We value you as a person, as a human being, and as a person that may or may not have ever tried specialty coffee. I think that's kind of the fun thing about this place in our hearts is that, like, we've met everyone from people that still are currently drinking Folgers coffee to someone who's like even farther than us, as a coffee roaster, which is actually really kind of cool because it's like, I feel like it kind of also helps us stay humble. It's like, we have a lot to learn still, even as the business owners, right? It's like, so yeah, staffing definitely part of it. And I also think, training, keeping up on like the industry standards, trying to also forge ahead through those things. That's a great question.
Yeah, definitely. It's it seems to be a theme across a lot of my guests.
Sure.
So this is not a definitely unheard of problem. So it's been interesting. I've gotten to work with some people, very similar situations, and a lot of things I've found is the staff have a lot more. They're almost like your little consultants,
right?
And a lot of people don't realize that. And I've been able to work with people to help get that out of them.
Awesome.
So, but yeah. Anyway, going on here. Speaking of that, you said you're still learning. So, what are some of the bigger lessons you've learned that you'd love to share with somebody wanting to start a coffee shop?
Sure. Yeah, I think some of the things that I've learned that is that be open to making mistakes. That's going to be part of a business. You're going to try things that you're like, hey, is this a good idea? Maybe it's not necessarily a bad idea, but it's not the most wise choice to do. I think that like we take into consideration people's opinions, right? That's okay. But also you have to stay true to like what it is that you want to do with the business. And if you have a core value or like a vision for what you want to do, stay true to that. I think that's been the thing that I've had some friends. In fact, sadly, one of my mentors has passed on since we started the business, but he was basically very adamant at write down what it is that you want to do and then really stay true to that. And that's probably the thing I would want to pass on to someone, maybe starting a business or just, really kind of like knowing who you are first before you can really release that to the world, right?
Oh, that's a good one. Know thyself. So we're going to go, just as course, as you talked about, all these journeys, especially through coffee. I'm going to have you walk us through your journey from harvest to pour.
Yeah.
So take us through how you source your coffees, how you make your coffee uniquely yours, because there's so many craft roasters, specialty roasters out there. How do you make course, and of course, no pun intended. How does your staff treat your coffee to your customers, and how do you know your customers like what they like?
Yeah, that
was a long question there. We'll break it back up.
It's all good. It's a great question. Yeah. So I really have a heart for connecting with people that are, it's almost like finding the people that are just as passionate as us at their craft, but it's a different craft. Like there are coffee farmers and coffee importers that through just simply conversation, I found out they're like, hey, we're doing this with this farm in this country. And also it's off season, we're doing this with them. But if we're able to sell this much coffee to you and to other roasters, we're able to ensure that they have their finances for like the whole year, for for part of the year. So it's almost like it's like mission. It's a mission oriented where like now when we first started out, it was certainly much harder to make those connections out of just simply lack of funds. But now as we're growing, we're able to secure more coffee with importer. And like, for instance, a good example is this Costa Rica that we have now. It's 5 families that work within this one organization, and the coffee is just phenomenal. But what really drew me to them was that she told me her story and how they got started. And I was like, that's interesting. It's very similar to like my wife and I and how we got started. And she's like, it's really hard, but like, we can only produce this much coffee this year. And I was like, great, we'll take half of it. And she's like, that's great, because then they can take that money and get ready for next year. Mm-hmm. And then since then, we've grown quite a bit, and they've gotten contacts with other roasters. So they're able to sell all of that coffee in that time. And the same thing with some of our other companies that we work with. Like there's like a level of transparency. It's like, hey, this is the size that we're at. We're like, great. Hey, this is the size that we're at. We might not be able to take all of the coffee, but like, it's okay. We love that people can share, right? I think that coffee roasting is a unique quality, right? But it's like one aspect of coffee. It's like, if we're looking for and we're seeking for quality across the board, then we're looking for coffees that are quality, of quality, right? So we'll send a sample and we'll sample roast it. And if it piques our interest, we're like, hey, let's talk more about this. And then we go from there and we talk to them about the coffee, and we'll be like, hey, it's almost like the prices, but it's like, it's not the most important, because it's the quality, and you can't skimp on that. I kind of think from day one, we put all the pressure on ourselves. I was like, look, I better learn how to roast coffee properly, right? Because if it doesn't taste good, it's on me, and maybe I have thick skin, or maybe I'm whatever. It's like, but I think when you seek out those things in the people, and, so specifically the coffee farmers and then the importers, you find them. If I'm looking for a specific taste profile, you talk to them about it. You're like, hey, I'm looking for this purpose. And like, we looked for a specific coffee for our nitro for the summer. And it was like, I want like strawberries and cream. And the importer was like, absolutely. And he sent us a sample of this coffee. It's a natural processed coffee from Indonesia, from East Timor, and it's perfect. I think you seek for specific things, you're gonna find them. But we look for those same qualities in the staff too. It's like people that are not only qualified, but also curious. How can we continue to grow together? Because it's like, we want them to take part in what we're doing here. That was a long-winded answer.
No, it was great. I like how you tied it to what you're looking for in staff, where, you have that curiosity, and then from that kind of comes the passion, because you notice that curiosity, you can always teach the technique.
It's very true.
So good. So as far as, have you had the opportunity to have any of these families visit you, or you visit them yet?
Yes. Actually, last month there was an importer who we work with his company is based in DC, but he's in Nicaragua quite a bit out of the year. Came, and he was actually in town for another purpose, but he was like, you're how far from the airport? I'm like, just 10 minutes, So I got a chance to meet with him, talk with him, and talk about coffees, but also we ended up, plane got delayed. So we went out to dinner, which was kind of fun, just getting to also know him too. Last couple weeks ago, had a chance to taste some coffees from a Burundi importer. She's from Burundi, and got a chance to meet her in person, which was a lot of fun. Then we sampled 15 of their coffees, and they're just absolutely phenomenal coffees. So yeah, I have had a chance, and it's awesome.
How are those in-person meetings? Do they help develop your appreciation for what they do, their coffee?
It definitely does. I think meeting someone in person, it's like this woman I've talked to on the phone for like 6 months and never got a chance to meet her. I actually saw her at a coffee convention, but it was very busy, and I was like, oh, I'll call later. Didn't want to. It would have been a while till I actually got to her. But it's just, it like puts a face to the company, and then you get to hear. It was a small group cupping coffees, so it was like getting to like, it's like, how's your family? And they're like, how's your wife? It's we're kind of like all one big family. So, and we really need each other, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, this is awesome, and building that relationship and you of course want those relationships to sustain. And there's no reason why they can't, so.
It's great. Great ecosystem you guys developing. Yeah. As far as developing your own product and making it uniquely yours, you're looking for these certain flavor profiles and you're roasting those. What are some of the challenges you've been do you run into while tuning that into what you want and then make your horse coffee?
Sure. Yeah. It's a great question. I think challenges are, I would say one of the bigger challenges would be, again, being a smaller company and looking for these things. Sometimes bigger companies kind of jump on coffees really fast. And so that was definitely a challenge, definitely earlier on. It still is today, but much more early in our days. Now that we're growing, we're able to reserve some coffee, or even, for instance, we have a coffee coming in November that we've been waiting a whole year for because they sold out before we could get it last year, which is, it's wonderful, but it's also, a little frustrating because you're like, oh, I kind of really want it right now. But it's like, well, it's already sold out. Now that we've bought coffee from them for a couple of years, it's like, hey, could we be put on the list for coffees coming in next year? Absolutely. Because we wanted to use that coffee for a specific purpose. I think what we're really trying to do is present the coffee in the method that we believe is going to allow it to really be experienced in its fullness. That doesn't mean that you can't experience one coffee in all those ways, but it's like, hey, we're going to bring in this coffee specifically for espresso. Hey, we're going to bring this coffee specifically in for pour overs or cold brew or nitro or flash brew. There's so many different methods, which is why we have so many different coffees, right? But
Yes. All right, great. And going back to, we're going to into the pour now, and
Sure.
This always translates into how your baristas treat the coffee. So, like I said, this journey of getting this coffee from halfway across the world to here, to roasting it, to now presenting it. What do you push to influence your baristas into what this coffee is, educate them to trying to find the right words and just can't find them on it? Yeah, basically, how do you instill that passion for coffee?
Again, like kind of like reiterating that question that we had just previously talked about, like it's like the passion is definitely there, which is good. And it's almost like you keep like fanning that flame of passion, right? So it's like, hey, we got these samples in, let's taste these samples. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's wild, like, hey, let's try it as an espresso shot. And almost like, I feel like sometimes I'm just like a little kid. It's like, oh man, this is wild. Trying something for the first time that you're like, I didn't think I could get these flavors from coffees, but you do. And it's like all the different processes that are going on now in the world, and different farms that are doing specific processes that are experimental. It's like, it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be in coffee. But I also think like Sarah, my wife, and I, they can see our passion. And it's like, you can kind of tell from the first introduction that like, hey, this person's going to be like, really interested in learning more, or becoming a better barista, but also just, becoming more curious about all the flavors that you could taste, from different coffees. I'd say we definitely certainly look for those qualities, but also it kind of work at a company and you're like, the people at the top are like, all right, this is fun. Of course it's still work, and, it can be, we have some long days here, but like we're having fun. Like we're experiencing, it's an experience, every day. You're drinking the pH balance of the earth. It's like, this is, it's alive, right? So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
No, it's great, because the follow-up is, how do you ensure that your customers are really enjoying your coffee? What keeps them coming back about the coffee? I know you have the ambiance and the culture, but what about the coffee? How do you help ensure?
Sure. That's a great question, because I feel like roasters are like every roaster, right? We're like, hey, let's bring in this odd experimental coffee. It's again, it's like, well, why not bring in the honey processed Sumatra? It's like, I didn't even know they did that. It's like, wait, they do. We got one last year, and we brought in coffee from Myanmar and from Laos, and it's like China. We brought in coffee from China last year, and it's like, yes, they grow coffee. Their specialty market is like up and coming, right? To kind of like keep people even more curious, and then bringing in coffees that are very unique in their their profiles. Keeps us, like some of our baristas, like, I never had that coffee before. Isn't it awesome that we're getting to experience that all together? I think that brings everything home where it's like, hey, like, let's experience this all together. Like, it's fun for us. It's fun for them. But, we like to think of them as thanks, of course, thanks for helping us grow and get to this point, but also let's have fun, right? Let's enjoy this together. It's for us, but it's for all of us. It's like, hey, I might be the one that's roasting the coffee, but we're all the ones that experience.
Totally. And with your team, how does communication play into the success of Course?
Yeah, communication is key. Like I said earlier about, of course, communicating with the coffee farmers and the importers. Communication is really everything. It's communicating, of course, the needs of like the day to, hey, let's experiment with a new drink. Let's try something for, like the fall. Like right now we're experimenting with drinks and different things. Like let's try something. Last year we tried some sweet potatoes. We're like, that sounds delicious. It's like, I haven't heard of that too much, right?
I haven't heard of that one either.
Let's do it. Communicating with them about like, hey, what's something that you want to try? It's like really encouraging them to take on that part of the business themselves. It's like, hey, this is yours. Do whatever you want. Like,
you're talking about the baristas.
About the baristas, okay. Yeah.
All right. Oh, we were talking about experimentations. How does collaborations and experimentations influence your process?
Yeah, I'd say that it influences it a lot. I wouldn't say like I'm actively seeking it out, but, just through conversation, I met someone who owned a vineyard locally and they were like, we want to do a coffee wine. I'm like, that sounds wild. Why not? So we did it. And this actually will be the second year that we're going to do it with them. And now we're going to do a coffee porter. And it's like, that sounds amazing. We met a guy locally who is doing mead. And since then we've had 4 or 5 different variations of coffee mead, and we've done quite a few beers with different companies. We do a beer annually with Third Wheel, but it's an IPA. And we both were like, that's different. You don't see a lot of coffee IPAs, and they're good. They're delicious, and she's like, hey, I'm trying this flavor profile. And I'm like, that's perfect. I got this coffee. It's a fantastic cold brew. And she's like, great. I met a local guy. He's working on a coffee liqueur with him and his company. So yeah, just experimenting. It's like, is it going to go well? Yeah, why not?
Do you bring a lot of that back when you're roasting and it's discovering new flavor profiles?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So while we're talking about coffee and all these really cool flavors and such, what are we drinking right now?
So I did for you a natural processed El Salvador, which is going to be one of our new offerings for the fall. I think it's like the perfect fall coffee.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of cranberry from it.
I was gonna say cherry, cranberry, lime, maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I was getting all of that. And then I'm a big cold brew fan, so I actually have some nitro right now, which is the Eastern. Yeah, we're working on a lot of collaborations. There's a potential to open up a second location as maybe almost more of like kind of like a satellite bar, but it's definitely going to be like different than what we're doing here. There's also opportunity to partner with someone who's doing stuff with tobacco. I am a big fan of cigars, so the fact that it's a possibility gets me really excited. And yeah, just continuing to grow our team here and hopefully expanding here with St. Charles and just, locally. We really love the local here.
Great. You're walking right into my next question. So that's perfect. What is the impact you want to make on the community here?
It's everything. It really is. I mean, most of our business is people who walk our houses, right? Which is awesome. And then of course, as we are right here on a main street on 2nd Street in St. Charles, people coming in from 370, people discovering us from 70, coming into town, going out of town. Really, it's just continuing to like grow with the community as this community here is growing and the city is really focused on bringing the Frenchtown area of St. Charles back to like its former glory. I feel like that's awesome for us. I mean, we truthfully didn't even know that when we decided that we wanted to open here, but like knowing that it's exciting because that more businesses are open here, which is really great because it's really a walking community. We're along the river. The city desires to extend the river walk through 2nd Street. So it's like, well, that's awesome. Because one day people are going to walk up from the river here through 2nd Street. I mean, I think it's vital that we just stay true to them. It's like, hey, we're a local spot, right? We're a local coffee bar, and listen to them, right, and learn and grow with them.
Yeah. And for the listener, if you've never been to Frenchtown or downtown St. Charles, it is a very much a walking town, old buildings, a brick street still, and lots of neat shops to find along the way. So definitely something to experience.
Definitely. Yeah.
So what are some of the trends you're seeing in the beverage industry right now, especially in coffee?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I'd say I definitely see a lot more people, roasters and coffee shops, coffee bars, like kind of experimenting with like coffee cocktails and different things like that. It's exciting because it's like seeing things that you're like, that's awesome. That's something I've thought about, but seeing someone do it is like, why not? Let's try it. And almost like encouraging each other to like, let's keep experimenting within the bounds of coffee and like see what happens, see what comes from it. So I definitely have seen that a lot.
Interesting. Yeah. I just ran into a blog I've kind of bookmarked, haven't read yet, that was the statement was why fruit juices and coffee belong together. So I'm really curious about that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of those espresso pours over oranges. And
yeah.
But just kind of curious. All right. We're getting down to the last couple questions here. And one of them is the hardest question for any guest. What is your favorite beverage?
Yeah. So I'm a black coffee person. It could be 115 degrees outside. I would drink a pour over in the morning, every morning. Yeah, that would be my favorite beverage. I've grown to really appreciate espresso as wife, one business partner, and some of our baristas are really into espresso, but not even stuff with milk. I'd say more just like they appreciate the coffee and how it presents itself as espresso since we started business. But I've been a black coffee guy since the mid 90s. So
wow. Midnight, so before coffee was actually really good.
Let's say that coffee has come a long way since then.
Oh yes. It wasn't instant coffee, was it?
It was not instant coffee, but it wasn't specialty coffee, and it was not great tasting, truthfully.
All right. What if somebody wants to try your coffee, but they're not in the area? How would they go about finding it?
Yeah, so you can on our website, CourseCoffeeRoasters.com. We do offer a subscription. So it's a monthly subscription, so you can get that. Or we just would mail coffee to you. Mm-hmm. We have all of our current offerings available, and changes quite a bit, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you want to just describe where you said you have your one location right now.
Yes.
Here in Frenchtown, and looking to scale. But in the meantime, do you have anything coming up? Events, promotions?
We do. We have a couple events coming up. The coffee IPA release is going to be September 23rd. And then we're actually going to do a separate event for the release here at our coffee bar in mid-October. We have a brewing class September 8th. So it's going to be fun. We brought in the special coffee for that class and just to show how the coffee presents itself on a few different brewing methods, which is awesome and fun. And here we have a few new coffees coming in, so we'll do a release for those. And then of course the drink menu will be September 15th. So we're going to do our new all fall menu then, which is fun because then we get to experiment with different flavors and try things for the fall as the weather starts to get a little bit cooler, thankfully.
So I'd usually kind of end it right here, but I'm really curious. What's involved in your coffee class?
Yeah. So we offer quite a few different coffee classes and have pretty much since the start. This one specifically, we brought in a natural process coffee from Nicaragua, which I'm very excited about. Has a very like Concord grape and almost like hibiscus quality to it as we've been tasting it. And I've really enjoyed it as all of the different brew methods, specifically espresso. It's a very, very nice, almost savory espresso. And we did a class last month on different brewing methods, and it literally sold out in one day. So we were like, let's do it again. And then this class sold out in less than 12 hours. So we're like, maybe we'll do another one, even though I want to do a different class. But I also want to do classes on cupping coffees, like how we evaluate coffees, how the coffee industry evaluates coffees, but almost very like not super formal, very informal. Really allow people the chance to ask questions, not just, hey, go around the room and slurp coffee and choke on it, because that's kind of what happens when you slurp coffee very, very fast, And yeah, which is a lot of fun.
Because I imagine your baristas get a lot out of it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, great. That was great. I definitely look into those classes, guys. So finally, again, thanks for having me out here, of course. It's been wonderful talking to you. And yeah, thanks again for your time, Brandon.
So, no, thank you for your time. This is a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Talk to you later.
Care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages with Matthew Shipp. Check the show notes for our guest contact information. And connect with Matthew Shipp on LinkedIn today.